Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit, educational, or personal use, tips the balance in favor of fair use. Actress Tricia Vessey and civil RICO added to Scientology lawsuit in proposed new complaint. This is from Tony Ortega, December 28, 2023. Actress Tricia Vessey joins the Bixler lawsuit against Scientology and Danny Masterson. We've been telling you for several weeks that a new amended complaint was expected in the Bixler versus Scientology lawsuit, and that it might dramatically change the case. That's the lawsuit that was filed by Danny Masterson's victims in 2019, even before he was charged criminally in June 2020. And the lawsuit initially wasn't about the sexual assault allegations. It was about the harassment that the women said they were experiencing since they had come forward to the LAPD. LAPD in late 2016. The lawsuit suffered a setback when it was forced into Scientology's religious arbitration, but then an appeals court overturned the decision. Then the lawsuit was put on hold while Masterson's criminal trials were happening. In the meantime, the Jane Does suing Scientology replaced their lawyers. And now that Masterson has been sentenced to 30 years to life in prison, the lawsuit is active again. And attorneys for both sides said they expected to see this new complaint, technically the second amended complaint in the case. Yesterday, the plaintiffs filed a proposed copy of their new complaint with the court, and it contains some surprises. First, a sixth plaintiff, actress Tricia Vessey, is joining the case to sue Scientology. She testified in Masterson's first criminal trial, alleging that he had raped her in 1996 after a rap party. In his Hollywood home. Don't go to their houses, you guys. Women, men, whomever you are, do not go to their house. That's the second place. The other five plaintiffs are Jane Doe 1, Jane Doe 2, and Chrissy Carnell Bixler from the criminal trials. Chrissy's husband, Cedric Bixler Zavala, he's the guy who had one guy that had his dog killed. And Babette Reales, another woman who alleges that Masterson attacked her, but who was not a part of the two trials. Second, the plaintiffs have added civil RICO charges to the lawsuit, accusing Scientology of racketeering and of being a criminal enterprise. Also, the lawsuit is now very much about the sexual assault and not just the harassment, with multiple plaintiffs suing Masterson for attacking them, and Scientology for covering it up. Wow, there's a lot of new stuff here, and some surprising revelations. But we mostly wanted to show you the change in language, with attorneys for the Jane Does referring to Scientology as a criminal enterprise throughout. Just like it happened in Belgium, it happened in France, it happened in Germany, organized crime. This is a lengthy document, but we want to show you the actual language from its introduction, to give you a sense of how it has changed the approach of this case. Chrissy Carnell Bixler, Cedric Bixler Zavala, Jane Doe 1, Babette Reales, Jane Doe 2, and Tricia Vessey hereby allege against the Church of Scientology, International Religious Technology Center, the INT Center, and Church of Scientology Celebrity Center International, collectively, the corporate defendants and David Miscavige, Daniel Masterson, and Does, Jane Does, 1 through 25. Does 1 through 25. So there are 25 Jane Does. Imagine the police officers knowing this, that this happened, and them basically taking the side of the La Poubelle owner when all that craziness was going on. Imagine that. Introduction. The defendants are members of a criminal enterprise within Scientology. That criminal enterprise includes many individuals, including the individual defendants and a number of corporate entities, including the corporate defendants. 2. Defendant David Miscavige is the undisputed and unquestioned leader of the criminal enterprise. Well, it's not just him doing all this stuff. The prestigious executives need to go down too. And derive significant financial benefit from the Scientology's criminal and unlawful activity. A lot of people are benefiting right now in real time off the financial benefits from Scientology's criminal and unlawful activity. It is my opinion, and those are free, it is my opinion that a lot of these politicians located in Los Angeles, as well as the Los Angeles Police Department, are aware of the criminal activities of Scientology. 3. Scientology was devised by L. Ron Hubbard, convicted felon, a science fiction author who was dissatisfied with the income that vocation provided him. As his wife explained, one of them, Hubbard believed that the only way to make any real money was to have religion. That's essentially what Hubbard, was trying to do. Get a religion where he could have an income and the government wouldn't take it away from him in the form of taxes. He's not the only one, by the way. A science fiction associate of Hubbard's similarly recounted that Hubbard believed the only way to make $1 million was to form your own religion. 4. Scientology's self-described governing philosophy is make money, make more money, make other people produce, like children, so as to make more money. 5. Many of Scientology's criminal enterprise's money-making schemes are criminal in nature. It routinely and systematically engages in fraud, human trafficking, identity theft, and money laundering. Laundering. Just like the mafia. To fill its coffers and enrich its leadership. 6. Scientology's criminal enterprise also makes money by selling pseudoscientific auditing sessions. Scientology's criminal enterprise claims these sessions bring people from a condition of spiritual blindness to spiritual existence. Oh yes, there's child auditors over there too as well, at Fort Harrison and other places. Yes. Totally illegal, total child abuse, total child neglect, unfollowing of the laws of school, and more. Sexual abuse. Bring people from a condition of spiritual blindness to spiritual existence, and that they cure arthritis. Imagine black tooth, pot-bellied, no haircut, fake military L. Ron Hubbard talking about spirituality. It's crazy. That they cure arthritis, that's medical malpractice, dermatitis, asthma, coronary difficulties, eye trouble, bursitis, ulcer, sinusitis, cancer, and any number of other physical ailments. As befits such lofty purported results, customers who purchase the entire course of auditing sessions. A lot of the auditing sessions are done by child auditors. Just so everyone's clear. Spend upwards of $500,000. 7. As with many criminal enterprises, Scientology takes steps to protect itself and its co-conspirators. I think that's supposed to mean, okay. And its co-conspirators from governmental authorities. Scientology's criminal enterprise takes a two-faced approach to protecting its criminal activities. It simultaneously presents an innocuous front to the public while terrorizing any who speak out about its unlawful activity in order to intimidate them and dissuade them from seeking protection from law enforcement or from cooperating with governmental authorities. 8. In order to provide itself with a patina of legitimacy, Scientology's criminal enterprise recruits celebrities to serve as its public ambassadors. Defendant Daniel Masterson is one such celebrity. During Masterson's long association with Scientology, Scientology's criminal enterprise used its resources to assist Masterson with his burgeoning acting career and provided him preferential treatment within Scientology. In exchange, Masterson publicly supported Scientology and its criminal enterprise by, for example, claiming Scientology cures depression. 9. While presenting itself outwardly as a respectable organization, Scientology's criminal enterprise has implemented a policy of terrorizing victims and witnesses of its crimes, whether or not those victims or witnesses are Scientologists, into keeping Scientology's crimes secret. Crimes secret. What you know about that, LAPD? This begins by inculcating its members to distrust outsiders, and particularly to distrust governmental enforcement. Scientology's criminal enterprise has a strict policy against reporting crimes to the authorities. Yeah, like LAPD doesn't know that, right? Like they don't know that. And if a member does find the courage to go to the authorities, yeah, good luck with that. Scientology's criminal enterprise and its agents engage in a coordinated effort to wreak havoc on the victim's life through a targeted harassment campaign. What was it the chief of LAPD said to Leah Remini when she walked into the meeting room? He looked at her and he's like, "Leah who?" You see? These harassment campaigns extend to non-members as well, who are frequently targeted for harassment if Scientology's criminal enterprise sees them as a threat. They sure don't see pedos as a threat. 10. Scientology's criminal enterprise harassment campaigns are carried out by Scientologists within the enterprise, but Scientology's criminal enterprise also uses its significant resources, including the proceeds of its criminal endeavors, to hire outside agents, i.e. non-Scientologists, to implement and carry out its harassment campaigns, otherwise known as threats and intimidation, aiding and abetting, accomplices to crimes. 11. Prior to the events alleged herein, Scientology had known for years that defendant Masterson had raped and sexually assaulted multiple women. In order to protect defendant Masterson and to protect itself, Scientology's criminal enterprise chose to bury knowledge of defendant Masterson's crimes. 12. While Scientology knew that defendant Masterson was a rapist, due to Scientology's criminal enterprise's concealment of the facts, plaintiffs Bixler, Reales, Vessey, and Jane Doe's 1 and 2 did not. Over the course of the late 1990s and early 2000s, each of them associated with defendant Masterson in different capacities. And defendant Masterson assaulted and raped each of them. For years, plaintiffs Bixler, Reales, Vessey, and Jane Doe's 1 and 2 believed themselves to be defendant Masterson's only victims, and due to fear of reprisal from Scientology and its criminal enterprise, did not report defendant Masterson's rapes and sexual assaults to the authorities. You guys see how that's convenient there, right? I don't know. I'm just saying. You guys get what I'm saying. 13. Beginning in 2016, plaintiffs Bixler, Reales, Vessey, and Jane Doe's 1 and 2 began to contact each other and came to understand that defendant Masterson was a serial rapist. In the hopes of preventing him from continuing to prey on women, they went to the authorities to report his sexual assaults. I can't wait to see what the LAPD said. Then they say something about statute of limitations. 14. As soon as plaintiffs went to the authorities, that would be the LAPD, defendants began a concerted, targeted campaign of harassment and intimidation aimed at preventing plaintiffs from cooperating with the authorities. You guys tell me, okay, I was a social worker, and I also was military police when I was in the Army. You tell me. How do you think that Scientology knew that they reported it, if that's confidential information? 15. On June 16th, 2020, Defendant Masterson was charged with forcibly raping Jane Does 1 and 2 and plaintiff Bixler. I guess it sucks for the rest of, how many were there? Like 23 more Jane Does? 16. Defendants redoubled their efforts and began to harass both potential witnesses, 2 defendants' illicit acts, and at least one of the prosecutors assigned to Defendant Masterson's criminal trial. 17. Defendants' efforts failed again to stop Defendant Masterson's prosecution. On May 31st, 2023, a jury convicted, listen to that, LAPD, convicted Defendant Masterson of forcibly raping Jane Does 1 and 2 and hung on the count of forcibly raping plaintiff Bixler, with 8 of 12 jurors voting to convict. On September 7, 2023, Defendant Masterson was sentenced to imprisonment for a period of 30 years to life. 30 years to life. The lawsuit then dives into the background about how Scientology operates and how it targets its perceived enemies with its fair game retaliation methods. As for Masterson, there's a new allegation now listed in the lawsuit. Oh, wait for this, guys. In 1994, Defendant Masterson raped and sexually assaulted a 15-year-old girl. 15 years old. V1 was a Scientologist. You know, adult in a child body. And immediately reported the rape to defendants' agents. Defendants did not go to the authorities. Isn't that against the law? Defendants did not go to the authorities. And instead concealed the rape, just like Jean Eastgate did, to protect Scientology and Defendant Masterson. In 1994, Masterson turned 18 years old. Oh, isn't that great? In 1996, Defendant Masterson raped and sexually assaulted a Scientologist, victim 2, also reported the rape to defendants' agents. Once again, defendants did not go to the authorities. And instead concealed the rape to protect Scientology and Defendant Masterson. That second victim could not have been Tricia Vessey, who also reported being raped in 1996, because Vessey was never a Scientologist. So that's 3 alleged rapes by 1996 that the plaintiffs are accusing Scientology of covering up and preventing the victims from knowing about each other. Wonder how many more is in Scientology still. Inquiring minds do want to know. The lawsuit then goes into minute detail about the allegations of stalking, hacking, intimidation, and harassment by the individual plaintiffs, some of which is repeated from earlier versions of the case. For Carnell Bixler and Bixler Zavala, for example, there was the horrific poisoning of their dog by someone who had tossed rat poison. I wonder if that's the same method to kill Mangotology's dog. I'm sure rat poison's cheap, and nobody ain't got no money in Scientology. Who had tossed rat poison placed inside raw hamburger into their yard. Clearly an intentional act. Isn't that otherwise known as state evidence? Reales, who lives in Indiana, alleges that anonymous callers claimed she was abusing her children to the State Department of Child Services. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, can you imagine the irony of Scientologists calling to report someone? The irony, These allegations were false, but nonetheless resulted in a lengthy investigation of Reales. After numerous court hearings, no adverse action was taken against Reales. Longtime readers will remember that both the Headleys and Jason Baggy were subjected to the same harassing tactics. As was Aaron Levin Smith, Leah Remini, all the child rape victims. Babette's dog was also poisoned, but survived, and she was in her home one day when she found that the outside of it had been set on fire. Isn't that a crime? LAFD. LAPD. Isn't setting someone's house on fire a crime? Inquiring minds want to know. And the local fire department said it had been intentionally set. Well, at least they said that. Was there any investigation? You all know they knew. Come on now. Didn't LAFD, like they were all buddy with what's the La Poubelle owner? Her dog was their mascot or something like that? Huh. The women allege their phones and home security systems have been repeatedly tampered with, their emails erased, even their prescriptions interfered with. I wish they would do that. Maybe not. I ain't scared. All of it, they believe, was carried out by the defendants. Probably men, you see. Misogyny's real out here, man. And now the list of charges has grown quite a bit. Charges 1 through 3, racketeering; 4, violation under a new California law, giving victims a year to revive claims of sexual assault; 5, sexual battery committed by Masterson; 6, domestic violence by Masterson; 7, negligence and negligent supervision; 9, intentional infliction of emotional distress; 10, conspiracy to interfere with civil rights; 11, wiretapping; 12, computer data access; 13 through 17, invasion of privacy; 18, 18 trespass, New York for Vessey; 19 through 20, stalking; 21, conspiracy; 22, loss of consortium. What happens to all the other people that were covering up? Inquiring minds want to know. What happens to the LAPD chief that was questioning Leah Remini and acting like she didn't exist? Inquiring minds want to know. What a huge change this is from the previous complaint, and no doubt we'll be hearing a howl of protest from Scientology's attorneys very soon. Okay, I will leave a link in the description box. Like and subscribe if you choose. Otherwise, have an amazing day or night wherever you are. Peace.